Okay, this lesson for our Koine project class will now look at how consistent it is to notice letters like First and Second Thessalonians both speak of tribulation. That is, tribulation is mentioned twice in the letters, and then we have two occasions that are obviously controversial. And in this class, that's where we find the energy. We can find people who then perhaps will take more of an interest in the language as we posit outwardly from it to give a rationale. And as an apologetic and outreach ministry, our efforts are to uh, engage people in first the use of the language. And those of you that have bothered to study it, you've noticed the advantages that come, and you're learning a lot. So 1 Thessalonians 4:17 says, here we go, Epeta, then, let me just write then, the dead in Christ have risen first, then we ourselves, Hames. A lot of this is familiar. Just when you get to an unusual word like this, just remember it, and then the others you just know. We ourselves. And then, of course, hoi, the living ones, present active participle, nominative masculine plural, the living ones. The remaining ones, the ones, and it's peri, that's from the word circle around, perilape, omenoi. Now you notice this is rather consistent, so the remaining around ones, yeah. Then we ourselves, the living ones, the ones remaining around, and here's that very long word, harpag, gaze, omatha. It's a future passive, future passive. Then we ourselves will be seized away. And then we have that term hama. It's simultaneously. This was the adverb that caused some problems because we noticed that if, and then we have seen together with. If we have this all taking place simultaneously together with them, there we go, autois, with them. There we go. So what we're looking at is the difficulty was in trying to, how is this all one event? And then we noticed in the Grace New Testament commentary by Grace Evangelical Society that they noticed the phases, because we know seized away, but here the rationale here is seized away from what? From what? And that's the same question we had in Second Thessalonians. So here we have the word thlipsis. There we go. Tribulation. There. So the good rationale is seized away. You answer from what, and what's the topic, and what's their concern in that text. And then, of course, we have that rationale. So that's a good understanding there. We can now say we're using the text, we're using the topic of the letter, the concern of the original receptors, and we're noticing how it's all in one, as we noticed. So if we had 7 years on a little map or chart we made, then let's say the return, phase 1, I suppose, that's where we then, somewhere in this fuzzy area before this 70th week, then here's the place he prepared, and it's in the air, not in heaven, by the way. And then, of course, This 7 years, of course, those of us that are interested in that marriage feast and that occasion, we'll be glad to be there. Well, then R2, that second phase, is just simply here. Now, where the cutoff of those days and how all that works, we know there's even 1290, so a plus 30, but I'm not really getting into all that. I'm just showing that the interest here is that there's a place for us. We even know there's a New Jerusalem that will be involved in that. And this is something totally different for a different occasion. So this is good rationale. And then over here for this one, we had that term aeletto, hotheos, the God. This is from our hiereo. It's got a rough breather. The term prefer. So the God preferred. And then, of course, I left out, it's hemos, you all. So the God preferred you all in its middle voice for himself. And then we have apo, which the vowel is omitted. Apo, away from. And then we have arches, from beginning. And we have ace, into soterion. And this is deliverance. Oh, sorry. I'll just write salvation then. Salvation. And again, the question here is from what? From what? And it asks the question away from. And of course, we've noticed that we want to put the word, there are those who want to put the word, creation. I almost forgot how to spell that. Creation, rather than eos. There we go. Rather than tribulation. And that's probably because we all have a bias. We have a pre-understanding. So beginning, away from beginning of tribulation. And notice this term here is not regeneration, it's deliverance. And they did have an interest there in being delivered. So we can appreciate that. We can appreciate this being a good rationale why this would say seize away, take away, this away from beginning. So here before it even begins. So if you are advocating a living rapture that is away from beginning of tribulation, and you want this text, you want to finish the thought, or you're completed it already. Some have already told me about this, and it's good work they're doing, using the text, using the context, and they're showing to be seized away, relocated, because even preterism believes that. If you study preterism, God's people relocated. He said, flee, don't even go into your house when you see the armies battle array around the city, flee. So they fled, and all through history we have fled and many have bled, and in the future we have the same idea. God's people always relocated, and that's what this is really about, is relocating. And then this is passive, so it will be done, acted upon us, and taken away from tribulation. Here, away from, there's deliverance away from tribulation. So have a blessed day. Enjoy this lesson. It's encouraging to see how much we can understand what was taking place, and how the original receptors, those who received their letter, how they would understood it and what they were concerned about. So you have a blessed day. Enjoy this lesson.